Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Community Lab podcast. My name is Rachel, and I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am really excited to chat with you all about branding your communities. For me, branding is the first step truly in community planning. So before I can publish that first post in Circle, before I can schedule that first virtual event in Circle, I have to tell every one of my clients and every person I work with that building out your brand is the first step in community planning. Now, if you already have a really successful brand and you are taking and pivoting that brand into community building, go on. Skip this episode. You don't need it. But if you're rethinking and thinking, maybe it's time for a little refresh, maybe stick around for a little bit. Okay, guys. So I want to begin by talking a little bit about really what is branding. Branding is a lot of things. And I know that the immediate thought is typically, oh, it's a logo, it's the colors that that business uses, it's the fonts they use. And while your visual identity is a key component in your brand identity, it's just one of those components. So let's start with what I think is the most important part of brand building, and that is your vision, mission, and values. So, your vision, it's your guiding star. It's that big dream of what you wish to achieve. It's the why behind your community's existence. If you are already a podcast host and you've decided, I want to build profit off of this passion podcast project I have going on, there's a lot of peas there. What do I need to do that? So, how do I visualize my brand evolving? So, when I say to myself, I'm ready to monetize my podcast community, how am I going to do that? My first thought is, okay, well, what are the technical requirements that I need to monetize? And what does that look like? And that can start to, veer off into community planning and how business planning and how you see things going. But what I would implore people to do is take a step back, peel back that onion a little bit and say, how do I see my brand evolving? Right. So if I'm a podcast host and I am ready to add community to my business model, how do I make that happen? And the first step is to really sit back and say, how do I see my community? How will my community look? How will my community feel? What will a community member experience with inside? What is that overall vision of my brand? So imagine you're at a coffee shop and you've got the couple over in the corner and they're going through and they're figuring out who's taking Johnny to soccer and who's taking Mary Beth to mock trial, and they're checking off the list. They're getting the things done. And then you've got the other group, and it's a bunch of high school students, and they're giggling and they're talking about their day and they're vibrant and full of energy. And then you've got Tom, and he's got his head down and the headphones on, and, he's getting it done. He's consuming all the information he can, and he's working hard, and he's getting all the things, and that's my brand. My brand is one of those 3. Can you guess which one mine is? Well, mine's the high school kid. Mine is the high school kids. It's the vibrant, full of energy, full of life. That's what the community labs vision is. That is the vision of my brand. It's lively, it's enthusiastic, it's optimistic, maybe to a fault. It's all of the work and planning I put into my brand is that happy, excited, lively. I'm the Leslie, no, the waffle making queen of community planning. That's how I see Rachel Rose coaching evolving. That's how I see my brand. My overall mission is to turn passion into profits, right? That's our tagline, but that's our mission. I want to help course creators. I want to help fellow podcast hosts. I want to help coaches take what they have and monetize it. And I want to show you some ways to do that. And one of the biggest components to that, one of the things that's important to my vision and my brand is that I don't gatekeep. So I'm going to tell you the tools I use. I'm going to tell you the tech stack I use to accomplish the things I do. I'm going to tell you that for free on the podcast. And if you come to a mastermind or you sign up for a course or you do one on one coaching, I'm going to give you even more of that. I'm going to help you troubleshoot how to make something happen in Circle that Circle doesn't offer yet. Let me tell you, I have helped a client host two very successful virtual events on the Circle platform. Over 800 people attended this last one. It's not equipped to handle that quite yet. It's not equipped to have on demand content, but I found a workaround. It's just about using your brain. And if you want to learn how to do that too, hop in the community and I'll tell you. One of the core components to our brand is that value that we aren't going to gatekeep, that we are there for true success of our community members. And so our brand resonates trust. We're authentic and trustworthy in the fact that we want to help you. We want to watch you succeed. Me, Rachel Rose Coaching has seen, I've been very successful. I've been very lucky in my career. Have I ever seen true, crazy, astronomical, life changing success? No. Have I made a really great career for myself and a livelihood that I'm very proud of? Absolutely. And others can too. Do I know what holds me back? Yeah, I'm a little introverted. I know, sounds crazy, but I am. And so, therefore, part of my values is helping people. I'm a very helpy person because people have helped me along the way. Now, when I talk about my brand, I want my brand to resonate with all of those things. And when you start planning out your brand, you need to sit down and think big. How do you see your community? Is your community the vibrant, lively high school table, maybe minus the drama of high school? Or are your community members more like Tom? They're not really going to engage much, but they're going to come in, they're going to consume. They might not give back all that much, but they're going to consume a lot of information and then go do whatever that is within your community. Or are they going to hunker down together and get through the checklist like the couple I mentioned in the beginning? Now, truly, my community is going to have a little bit of all of that, right? There's going to be the people who will gravitate to one another and assist one another and heads down work through it together, the checklist. I'm going to have the Toms that are going to come in and they're going to, fly on the wall, consume as much as they can so they can build a vibrant community. And I'm going to have my lively energy cheerleader, brand ambassador group within my community too, because that's really the core of my community, but the other is going to live there too. It's all about speaking to your audience and building a brand that really resonates. Now, I have that vision of my community, right? That it's lively and happy and everyone's going to bring their binders and their new planners from Emily Lay and we're all going to hang out together. Now, you can't just put that on the universe. Your branding has to match it. Your brand voice has to match it. Your colors have to match it. Your tone has to match it. So, when we're talking about building out our brand, one of the very first steps is truly sitting down and coming up with what is your vision, what is your mission, and what are the values of your brand. All three of those things carry over to your community. Those three things, while the vision of your community will be slightly different than your brand. I mean, you can look at your community vision in so many different intricate ways. You can look at it as I envision my community as being a place where other podcast hosts will come in and share tech tips. I see my community doing X, Y, and Z. But that's actually a value of your community. You value one of the values you've built for your community is that your community is a place, a haven to learn, right? But your mission of your brand is truly the same mission of your community for the most part. So doing this work is all core work before you start community planning. Now, let's talk a little bit about that visual identity now. That's the colors, the logo, the fonts, all the things that are traditionally thought of as being part of branding. And so, while they're very important parts of being branding, there are also some key things to keep in mind because you don't want to just willy nilly pick a logo. You don't want to willy nilly pick some colors. It's not necessarily it's not necessarily as easy as one might think. I want to begin by talking to you guys a little bit about color psychology. Color psychology is absolutely fascinating to me. It's an area of study that delves into how colors can significantly affect human behavior and emotion. It's the science and art of using colors in your branding and marketing to influence how your audience perceives and interacts with your brand. How cool is that, right? So, did you know that blue is often associated with calmness and serenity? Probably do. And if you hadn't, think about it. Think about when you go to the doctor's office. What colors are everywhere? They're trying to calm you. Red is known for its ability to grab attention. We know that, right? It's fire, it's love, it's meant to be eye catching. Greens are normally associated with nature, growth, and balance. Again, when's the last time you got a massage and you walked into there and you saw all of those serenity type colors? Color evokes emotion, and choosing the right color palette for your brand is a key component in building out a strong brand identity. It also helps you remain consistent across all platforms and will really make all of those things you have to make the graphics, the logo, all the stuff. It makes it seamless once you've picked out that brand color. Once you've decided on a color palette and you've landed and you feel good about it, I highly recommend you choose, 5 or so fonts. Make sure you have some primary and accent colors that you can utilize and keep them on in different places you might be utilizing those colors. Make sure they'll work well together on different platforms. So now let's talk about typography or fonts, right? Typography also aims to elicit certain emotions and convey specific messages. So choosing fonts matters. Make sure you're picking a font that's legible. I love using some script throughout, but it matches my brand. I use it sparingly, and I've chosen a script that's easy to read. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you're picking more than one font, different weights, and make sure they complement one another. So when you're choosing fonts, make sure you pick more than one. When you're choosing colors, make sure you're picking several, both very important parts. Now, when you're building out your logo, there's a vast array of things you can do. I am very fortunate in the fact that I can do my own graphic design. I used to build logos for folks for very, very many years. I don't do it anymore, but I can make my own. Uh, but you can do things as simple as head over to Canva and create a logo there. You can head to Etsy and have something created. Or if the budget allows, then hire a graphic designer to create you something completely custom. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's all about being consistent. So make sure you're really careful with symbolism and all of that type of thought process when you are building out a logo. But at the end of the day, it's all about consistency. I truly think the number one thing is color. Make sure you're choosing a color palette that is complementary to your mission and your vision. So important. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a brief pause here so you guys can hear about one of my favorite community building tools, Circle. I'm sure you've already heard me mention a time or two how much I love Circle for building my online community. If you're a fellow podcast host or digital creator looking to elevate your online community, look no further because Circle is endgame. It revolutionizes the way you connect and engage with your audience. Circle offers an intuitive platform that brings together your content, conversations, and community all in one place. It's your one-stop shop for building a vibrant, interactive community that's uniquely yours. Whether you're a podcast host, course creator, or coach, Circle empowers you to create a space that's as dynamic and engaging as your content. Customized to your heart's content, from private spaces to integrative live streams, making your community both exclusive and inclusive. Transform your audience into a thriving community with Circle. Watch your engagement soar, your relationships deepen, and your brand grow. It's more than a platform. It's a community builder's dream. So, are you ready to bring your community together? Visit circle.so or the link in the show notes and start your free trial today. Okay, guys, welcome back. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about brand voice because it is such a key component. You're really taking that vision, mission, values, that community mission statement that you develop. You're taking that and you're turning it into the language that your brand speaks. And by creating a brand voice guideline, you can really make sure your entire team is on the same page. So, we're going to focus on the crucial elements of tone, style, and voice, and how to effectively use them to communicate with your community's unique brand across various platforms. Consistent messaging is key to creating a cohesive and captivating brand experience. And that's what we want. We are out there looking to build brand ambassadors. That's what we need. So, your brand's voice is the distinct personality your messaging conveys. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's vital to recognize that your brand's voice encapsulates the personality and emotions you wish to convey through your communications. This voice should be a reflection of your brand's values and designed to resonate deeply with your target audience. Let's talk a little bit here about what a brand voice guideline is. And really all it is, it's basically a document that lives as part of your community documents for your business that will help you and your team really understand how you see your brand, how you want your brand portrayed, how they should speak, and how your brand is meant to look in your community. I'm going to read to you just a little bit of the Community Lab's brand voice guideline. It begins with, welcome to the Community Lab brand voice guidelines. Here we're all about empowering course creators, coaches, and podcast hosts to turn their passion into profit. Our voice is designed to inspire, motivate, and connect with entrepreneurs ready to make their mark. Let's break down the key components of our brand voice. So, step one, a brief overview of who we are and what we're trying to convey. Here are a few things that resonate with our brand. Enthusiastic and optimistic. Every message we share is infused with positivity and excitement for what the future holds. We see the glass as half full, encouraging our community to embrace every challenge as an opportunity. I love that one. It took forever to write, but I love that one. Authentic and heartfelt. We speak from the heart, believing that genuine connections form the foundation of any thriving community. Our communications are honest, transparent, and designed to resonate on a personal level. I want our brand to be that you're talking to a friend. I also want within our community that you can talk to Rachel, right? And I know our community is going to grow, and I know it's probably going to grow pretty quickly, and it's going to be harder and harder to speak with me, but I am going to try my darndest to get out and speak as much as I can to the community members. Empowering and supportive, we're here to lift you up, offering the tools, advice, and encouragement you need to succeed. Think of us as your cheerleader and guide on the journey from hobbyist to full-time entrepreneur. And witty and relatable, our brand voice is friendly and approachable with a touch of humor, hence my Leslie notes. To keep things light and engaging, we aim to be a breath of fresh air in the business world, making entrepreneurship feel accessible to anyone. So you can see that my brand voice guidelines are a reflection of my brand's vision, mission, and values. So, how I speak to people in my community, how I speak on social media, all of those things are really laid out in this guideline. I go on to talk about how we'll communicate. I'm going to give you just one. I'm going to give you one example, and then I will stop with this. Blog posts, and articles will be packed with valuable insights, but delivered in a conversational tone. We aim to educate and inspire, making the path to success feel less daunting and more achievable. So, by laying out this brand voice guideline, let's say someone on my team puts together a really great blog post they send over to me that we want to put up in the community. My first thought is when I read it is I am going to have the community lab brand hat on and say, well, does this match? And that's the first thing I'm going to ask them if I don't think it does. I'm going to send it back and say, do you think this meets our brand voice guidelines? You want every piece of content that comes out from you, and content's everything. Content is social media posts, content is a virtual event, content is a blog you write, podcast episode you record. Do all of those items sound like they fit within my brand voice guidelines? If so, yes, you're awesome. If not, chuck it, start over, scratch it up, make it so it does. Okay, friends. So I know I've given you a whole lot of information today about branding and how it's not just simple colors and fonts. It is so much more. And it really does tie back into that vision, mission, and values, those first key components that you must put in place. Now, if you are thinking about rebranding your community, or if you're just getting ready to launch your community, I ask you to check out our Branding Brilliance Bootcamp. It will go live on February 21st. That is my 45th birthday. And just so happens to be the launch of the free community lab community. I am so excited to launch on my birthday. I have been squirreling away and working on this for quite some time now. I've been busy building community for other clients, and I'm really excited to start to share some of that wealth of knowledge with you all. If you want to head over and join the wait list for the boot camp, you can. I know this podcast episode will come out before the boot camp is live. We just finished recording all the modules. It's so good. It's so chock full of information. The workbook is chef's kiss, amazing, great templates, all the things. Head over. If you're listening to this after February 21st, you can buy now. If not, jump on the wait list, be one of the first in the doors. Okay, friends. I hope you have a great week. We will see you next week. We're going to be talking about member experience next week. I love just talking about top to bottom how your member consumes your community. And we're going to dive into it then. Until then, take care. Bye, everyone.